That is how Amma found me, covered with eel blood. How she screamed. She ran over to see what pieces of my body were missing, what leaky holes I had sprung, and after she inspected my ears and nose, counted my fingers and toes, she yanked off my jacket and pulled off my pants, scolding me in a trembling voice. Your mother will be glad to wash her hands of both of us. She was angry, but I also think she was scared. You see, she was responsible for me, and when I got into trouble, Amma got into bigger trouble. Your mother will banish us to coming, said Amma in a sad voice, and when she said that, I was glad. I had heard that the coming was wild place surrounded by stone forest ruled by laughing monkeys. When can we go? I asked. Amma's mouth dropped open, so shocked to hear me say such a thing. She left me standing in my cotton undergarments, pouting at the back of the boat because I refused to say I was sorry. Evening came, the sky darkened, and the water turned black. I was still sitting at the back of the boat, watching red lanterns' lights glowing all over the lake. I heard the sounds of happy people at the front of the boat, eager for the banquet to begin. I wish I could be there. I looked at the water below my bare feet, and I saw my reflection, my legs, my pouting face, my hand waving one of the dirty tiger slippers, and in the dark, shiny water I saw the full moon rising above my head, a moon so warm and big it looked like the sun. The moon lady. I had almost forgotten. I turned around to find her so I could tell her my secret wish. But right at that moment, pock, prack, prack, firecrackers exploded. I lost my balance and with my tiger slipper still in my hand fell into the water. The water was cool at first. I was not frightened. I called for Amma, knowing she always came when I shouted for her. And then I began to choke, and water swam up my nose, into my throat and eyes. Amma! I tried to cry again, and I was very angry that she did not come right away. And then I felt a dark shape brush against my leg. I was sure it was a swimming snake. It wrapped around me and squeezed my body like a sponge, then tossed me high into the air. I fell into a rope net filled with wriggling fish. Water gushed out of my throat, and now I was wailing, grabbing for my soggy slipper. When I could finally open my eyes, I saw a large shadow. Another shadow was climbing into the boat. It turned out to be a fisherman, dripping wet. Is it too small? Shall we throw this little fish back? The man laughed out loud. Even though it was warm at night, I began to shiver, too scared to cry. Stop now, said the other shadow, a woman. You frightened her. She turned to me and said in a gentle voice, Don't be afraid. Are you from another fishing boat? Which one? Point. I looked out on the lake. My heart was beating fast. I wanted to so much to find my family, but instead I saw rowboats and pedal boats, sailboats and fishing boats like the one I was in, with a long bow and a small house in the middle. And then at last I saw it. There, I said, and pointed to a floating tea house filled with laughing people and swaying lanterns. There. And I began to cry. Now, impatient to reach my family, the fishing boat glided swiftly over to the tea house boat. Hey, the fisherman called up to the boat. Have you lost a little girl, a girl who fell into the water? I heard some shouts from the floating tea house. I strained to see the faces of Mama, Baba, Abba. People crowded to one side to look at us. They were leaning over, pointing at our boat, laughing with red faces and loud voices. A little girl pushed her way through some legs. That's not me, she cried. I'm here. I didn't fall in the water. The people on the boat roared with more laughter, then turned away. "Little miss," said the fisherwoman sadly as we glided away, "you were mistaken." I began to shiver again. I had seen no one who cared that I was missing. The farther we glided, the bigger the world became, and now I felt I was lost forever. The fisherwoman stared at me. My braids were falling down. My undergarments were wet and dirty. "What shall we do?" she asked. "No one to claim her." "Maybe she is a beggar girl," said the man. "Look at her clothes. She is one of those children who ride their flimsy rafts to beg for money." I was filled with terror. Maybe this was true. I had turned into a poor beggar girl, lost without my family. "Ah, don't you have eyes?" the woman said crossly. "Look at her skin, too pale, and her feet. The bottoms are soft. This is the kind of girl who's worn shoes all her life." I was so happy to hear this, and then I remembered the soggy slipper in my hand. I showed it to the man and woman. "Ah, yeah," said the woman, staring at the yellow and black lump in her hand. "You're somebody's lost treasure, that's for certain." "Put her on the shore then," said the man. "If she truly has a family that wants her back, that's where they will look for her." When we reached the dock, the man lifted me out of the boat. "Be careful next time," the woman called. On the deck, with the bright moon behind me, I once again saw my shadow. It was shorter this time, shrunken and wild-looking. We ran together over to some bushes along a walkway and hid. I could hear frogs and crickets, and then flutes and tinkling cymbals, a gong and drums. From the bushes, I could see a crowd of people, and above them a stage holding up the moon. And then a man burst onto the stage and told the crowd, "And now the Moon Lady will perform a shadow and sing her sad song to you." The Moon Lady? And then I saw the shadow of a woman against the bright moon on the stage. She was combing her long hair, singing, "How sad is my fate, to live on the moon while my husband lives on the sun. Each day and night we pass each other, never seeing one another, except tonight, the night of the mid-autumn moon." She plucked her lute and sang more. "My husband, the master archer, shot down 10 suns in the eastern sky. He saved the world and received a magic peach for his reward, the peach of everlasting life." The shadow of the Moon Lady rose up and opened a box. "When my husband was away," she sang, "I found his magic peach, and wishing I could live forever, I ate it in one swallow." The Moon Lady began to rise, then fly like a dragonfly with broken wings. "He banished me from this earth and sent me to live on the moon." Waya, waya, the sad lute music began again, and now I saw the poor lady standing against the bright moon. Her hair was so long it swept the floor, wiping her tears. An eternity had passed, for this was her fate, to stay lost on the moon forever, regretting her own selfish wishes. "For women is yin," she cried sadly, "the darkness within." Where passions lie and man is yang, bright truth lighting our minds. The stage went black. At the end of the tale, I was crying with the Moon Lady. I knew her feelings. In one quick moment, we had both became lost to the world, and neither of us could find our way back. Just then, the same young man came onto the stage and announced, "Attention, attention. And now to thank you for coming, the Moon Lady has agreed to grant one secret wish to each person here." The crowd murmured with excitement. "For a small donation, of course," he added, and everyone booed and began to walk away. Nobody was listening except for my shadow and me. "I have a wish," I shouted and ran forward, waving my slipper, but the young man paid no attention to me. I darted fast as a lizard behind the stage to the other side of the moon. And there I saw her, the moon lady, glowing with the light from a dozen lamps. She shook her long, shadowy hair. I have a wish, I whispered, but she did not hear me, and I was thinking fast, remembering all my wishes from the entire day: to take off my hot clothes, to eat a rabbit mooncake by myself, to fly like a dragonfly, to be a carefree boy on a raft. I have a wish, I said again, this time a little louder. I walked closer to the moon lady, and I could see her face, the shrunken cheeks, a broadly oily nose, large glaring teeth, and red-stained eyes. And then her silk gown slipped off her shoulders as she wearily pulled off her long hair. Before the secret wish could fall from my lips, the moon lady looked at me and became a man. When I saw who the moon lady really was, I ran. Past the stage and between the bushes. I ran down the pathway, dashing between people walking along the lakefront. I ran up a footbridge, and with the full moon over my back, I shouted what I knew was a true wish from my heart. I wished to be found. And now you see, said Nai to her laughing granddaughters, I did get my wish, because I am here today to tell you this story. I found them, Mama, Baba, my uncles and aunts, and Ama, waving to me with my other tiger slipper. And when I flew into their arms, they cried, We found you! At last we found you! Maggie, Lily, and June clapped their hands. Of course, I let them think that, said Nai. But you see, I had already found myself. I found out what kind of tiger I really was, because I now knew there were many kinds of wishes, some that came from my stomach, some that were selfish, some that came from my heart. And I knew what the best wishes were, those I could make come true by myself. Can you think of a wish like that? Nana asked. Maggie, Lily, and June looked at each other and smiled. They put their heads together and whispered among themselves, then told Nai their secret wish. Oh, what a good wish, Nai said. I wish that becomes everyone's wish. And together Maggie, Lily, and June took their grandmother outside to make their wish come true. They danced with their shadows, shouting and laughing by the light of the full moon. The end.